Is there a book so dangerous, so utterly steeped in forbidden knowledge, that just reading it could drive you mad? A book that whispers secrets from beyond the stars, penned not by a man, but by an ancient, malevolent force? For over a century, one title has haunted the darkest corners of horror and occult lore, the Necronomicon. But here's the real mystery. Is this legendary grimoire a genuine artifact of unimaginable power, or is it the most elaborate literary hoax in history? The answer is far more complex and fascinating than you might think. Let's pull back the veil and journey into the shadowy world of the Necronomicon, a book that shouldn't exist, yet somehow does. The story begins not in some dusty, forgotten library, but in the mind of one of the 20th century's most influential and controversial writers, Howard Phillips Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft was a master of cosmic horror, a genre he pioneered. He wasn't interested in simple ghosts or goblins. His tales explored humanity's utter insignificance in the face of a vast, uncaring, and often hostile universe. His stories are filled with ancient, godlike beings, incomprehensible entities that exist just beyond the fabric of our reality. And to give his fictional universe a sense of depth and realism, he created a mythology, a shared history that connected his stories. Central to this mythology was a single, dreaded book, the Necronomicon. According to Lovecraft's lore, the original title was al-Azif, an Arabic word he interpreted as the nocturnal sounds of insects, which was believed to be the howling of demons. The author was said to be the mad Arab, Abdul Alhazred, a poet from Sana'a in Yemen who wandered the ruins of Babylon and the hidden catacombs of Memphis. In his madness, he claimed to have discovered the secrets of beings older than humanity, the great old ones and outer gods, like the monstrous Cthulhu sleeping in his sunken city of R'lyeh. Alhazred supposedly spent his final years in Damascus, scribbling down everything he had learned into this single, terrifying volume, before meeting a gruesome and very public end, devoured by an invisible monster in broad daylight. Lovecraft didn't just invent the book. He gave it a detailed, believable history. He wrote that al-Azif was secretly translated into Greek in the 10th century by Theodorus Philetus, who gave it the name we know today, the Necronomicon. This Greek version, he claimed, was banned and burned by religious authorities for its blasphemous content. Later, a Latin translation was supposedly made in the 13th century, which was also suppressed by the Pope. Lovecraft even invented a real-world connection, suggesting that the famous 16th century occultist John Dee had owned a copy and attempted a translation into English, which was never completed. This intricate backstory, mixing plausible historical details with outright fiction, was Lovecraft's genius. He made the Necronomicon feel real. He would often reference the book in his own stories as a source of forbidden knowledge, a plot device that allowed his characters to uncover cosmic truths that would inevitably shatter their sanity. A character might stumble upon a passage that reveals the true nature of the universe or find a ritual to summon something unpleasant. The book became a recurring element, a dark thread weaving through his tales. But Lovecraft didn't keep this creation to himself. He was part of a circle of writer friends, including authors like Clark Ashton Smith and Robert Bloch, the author of Psycho. Lovecraft actively encouraged them to use the Necronomicon in their own stories. This shared creative universe, one of the first of its kind, exponentially grew the legend. Suddenly, the Necronomicon wasn't just appearing in Lovecraft's work, it was popping up in stories by other authors, all treating it as a real, established text. Readers who enjoyed horror and pulp fiction started seeing this name over and over again, in different contexts, by different writers. It's no wonder people started to believe it was a genuine occult manuscript. The line between fiction and reality began to blur almost immediately. Libraries and bookstores started receiving inquiries from people desperately trying to find a copy. Occultists and esoteric researchers, always on the lookout for hidden knowledge, began their own searches, convinced that Lovecraft had based his fiction on a real, suppressed grimoire. Lovecraft himself found this amusing and a little unnerving. He received countless letters from fans asking where they could get their hands on the book. He consistently and patiently replied to each one, explaining that he had invented the Necronomicon, Abdul Alhazred, and all of it from whole cloth. In one letter, he famously wrote, "Now then, About the terrible and forbidden books, I am forced to say that most of them are purely imaginary. There never was any Abdul Alhazred or Necronomicon, for I invented these names myself. But by then, it was too late. The legend had taken on a life of its own. It had escaped the control of its creator. The idea was simply too powerful, too compelling to be dismissed as mere fiction. People wanted to believe. And where there's a demand, a market will eventually emerge. In the 1970s, decades after Lovecraft's death, the ultimate blurring of the line occurred. Several different versions of the Necronomicon were actually published. The most famous of these is the Simon Necronomicon, which appeared in the late 70s. This version presented itself as a genuine, translated grimoire. It mashed together Sumerian mythology, Babylonian myths, and various elements of ritual magic, all framed within a vaguely Lovecraftian context. The book claims to be the real deal, complete with a dramatic backstory about how the manuscript was discovered by a mysterious figure known only as Simon. It became an instant cult classic. To this day, many practitioners of magic and occultism swear by the Simon Necronomicon, claiming its rituals are effective and powerful, even though its historical and mythological claims have been thoroughly debunked by scholars. Another notable version is the R'lyeh text, edited by George Hay and supposedly decoded by occultist Robert Turner and scholar David Langford. This version tried to be more faithful to Lovecraft's original vision, presenting itself as the supposed English translation by John Dee. It cleverly mixes genuine Elizabethan language and occult concepts with Lovecraft's mythology, making it a far more convincing literary forgery. And of course, there's the version that appears in the Evil Dead film franchise. While this Naturam Demontu, or Book of the Dead, is a purely cinematic creation, its iconic, flesh-bound appearance has become synonymous with the Necronomicon in popular culture, cementing the image of a physical book made of human skin and written in blood. So, after all this, what is the Necronomicon? It's not one thing. It's an idea that has evolved. It started as a clever literary device, a piece of world-building from a master storyteller. It then grew into a collaborative myth, a shared secret among a circle of writers that made their fictional universe feel real. This myth then escaped into the real world, becoming a modern legend, a piece of folklore fueled by the human desire for forbidden knowledge. Finally, it became a tangible object, a collection of real, published books that people could buy, hold, and use, whether they saw them as occult tools, literary curiosities, or elaborate fanfiction. The enduring power of the Necronomicon lies in what it represents, the allure of the unknown. The idea that there are secrets the world isn't ready for, that there's a key that could unlock a reality far grander and more terrifying than our own. It taps into a fundamental human curiosity and a primal fear of what might be lurking in the dark, just beyond our comprehension. H.P. Lovecraft may have invented the Necronomicon, but he didn't create the desire for it. That was already inside us. In the end, the Necronomicon is the ultimate testament to the power of a good story. It's a fiction that became so powerful, it willed itself into a semblance of reality. It's a book that was never written, yet can be found on shelves all over the world. And that, perhaps, is the most mind-bending cosmic horror of all. Thanks so much for diving into this forbidden lore with me today. What do you think? Is the Necronomicon a dangerous tool or a brilliant fiction? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest mysteries. Until next time, keep questioning.